Good morning, beautiful people. We're going to talk about the White House news. I hope that y'all had a good Thanksgiving and all of that good stuff. Everything I share is for educational purposes only. That's good. Hopefully, you can hear this okay. Okay. Here it is. I hope that y'all can hear it.
For my tardiness, we had some technical difficulties, as you can see, but I think we are ready to rock, so let's get to it. I'll begin this week with some scheduling announcements for President Trump's very busy week ahead. Tomorrow, President Trump will host his 9th cabinet meeting of the year alongside his incredible cabinet, who continue to deliver for the American people at a record pace. Later in the afternoon tomorrow, the president will make an announcement in the Oval Office on his initiative to create Trump accounts to give the next generation of Americans a jump start on savings. It will be a very exciting announcement indeed, especially for all of the parents across the country with young children and babies. On Thursday, President Trump will host the presidents of the Republic of Rwanda and the Democratic Republic of Congo to sign the historic peace and economic agreement that he brokered. On Thursday night, the President and the First Lady will celebrate one of America's greatest traditions, the lighting of the national Christmas tree on the Ellipse. And on Friday, President Trump will attend the FIFA World Cup final draw at the Kennedy Center. You all will be seeing and hearing from the President every day this week. So you have me today, and then he will take on the rest of the week himself. Next, I would like to address the horrific tragedy that took place in our nation's capital that last week. A foreign terrorist that the Biden administration failed to properly vet ambushed 2 members of the West Virginia National Guard who were honorably serving here to keep the residents and visitors of Washington, D.C. safe. U.S. Air Force Staff Sergeant Andrew Wolf was severely wounded in the attack and remains hospitalized while he continues to fight for his life.
Oh, he's still alive. I was told that he passed. I'm glad one of them are surviving.
Tragically, U.S. Army Specialist Sarah Beckstrom died of her wounds. She was just 20 years old. Wow. President Trump and the entire White House are praying for Andrew's full recovery at the request of his parents and their personal phone call with the president over the weekend. And we are keeping Sarah's family and friends in our prayers during this unimaginably difficult time. Sarah and Andrew represent the very best of America, 2 young patriots who were willing to put on the uniform and risk their lives in defense of their fellow Americans. Both of them truly embody the profound words spoken by Jesus Christ in the gospel. Greater love has no one than this, to lay down one's life for one's friends. Sarah and Andrew are heroes, and we will never forget their sacrifice. That means ensuring the monster responsible for this atrocity is prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law and faces the most severe punishment possible. It also means reckoning with why this atrocity was allowed to happen in the first place, so that it may never occur again.
Exactly.
Here are the facts. The terrorist who gunned down American soldiers blocks away from the White House in an ambush was an Afghan national who was flown into our country by Joe Biden's administration in September 2021 in the chaotic wake of their botched withdrawal from Afghanistan, one of the most embarrassing moments in the history of our great country. Joe Biden's historic failure in Afghanistan continues to haunt this country and our men and women in uniform. Not only did this surrender lead to a suicide bombing that killed 13 American heroes in Kabul, but now National Guard troops were shot on U.S. soil by the same kind of enemy. We continue to live with the deadly consequences of Joe Biden's horrific leadership.
Imagine what those families are going through right before the holidays. Sad.
Nearly 100,000 Afghans were recklessly released into the United States with little to no vetting. There was no regard for the disorder and violence that this would unleash on American communities and American culture. Reportedly, thousands of these strangers and unknown individuals were flagged to the Biden administration for national security, public safety, and fraud concerns. But the terrifying truth is that the Afghanistan debacle is just a small part of Democrats' complete and total betrayal of the American people during the Biden years. The tragedy that we just witnessed the day before Thanksgiving is a reminder that untold thousands of terrorists, gang members, and criminals were invited into our country and remain here to this very day. The border is now secure, thanks to President Trump. But the threat in our interior remains real and urgent. These public safety threats are already inside our land. And President Trump was elected on a promise to find and remove them. And he has already taken significant steps and made significant progress towards fulfilling this promise. But there is more work to be done because President Trump believes that he has a sacred obligation.
I see you saying in the chat you can't blame Biden, but a lot of this happened during the Biden administration. And then when you're pushing open borders, these are the kind of things that's going to happen.
To reverse the calamity of mass, unchecked migration into our country. As a result, the Trump administration is now actively re-examining all of the Afghans imported into the country by Joe Biden. Any individual who threatens our national security or our citizenry will be subject to removal. President Trump has already permanently paused migration of foreign nationals from third world countries that pose a very high risk to the United States. For too long, past American presidents supported self-destructive immigration policies that allowed foreigners who outright hate our country and have no interest in assimilating into our culture. They've allowed these individuals to flood peaceful American communities. This disastrous approach has drained our welfare program, driven up the cost of housing, suppressed wages, and jeopardized the safety of law-abiding American citizens. In fact, according to a new bombshell report from the New York Times, Somalian migrants in Minnesota have defrauded nearly $1 billion in taxpayer-funded benefits under Democrat Governor Walz's leadership. President Trump is putting an end to this dangerous America Last approach. His position is rooted in common sense. In the wake of last week's atrocity, it is more important than ever to finish carrying out the president's mass deportation operation. America cannot allow millions upon millions of unvetted illegal aliens to be rewarded with amnesty after they broke our nation's laws to come here. They must go back to their home countries. Mm-hmm. It is also essential to immediately address the massive fraud and corruption that has been going on for decades in other aspects of our immigration system, most notably when it comes to asylum claims. Millions of people who have come here under false pretenses are told blatant lies now enjoy temporary legal status. President Trump is ending this scam as well. And I would point out that the Democrats have tried to block this administration from doing so at every turn with lawsuit after lawsuit. The hard truth is that even when it comes to our legal immigration system, past presidents have failed to ensure that all prospective citizens love America, will add value and contribute to our communities, and will assimilate into our culture. Leaders have a duty to defend and advance the interests of their own people, not foreign nationals. Leaders also have a duty to preserve the integrity and character of our nation's national identity. That is why President Trump is more committed than ever to fully restoring American sovereignty by keeping our borders secure, removing all illegal alien invaders, and rebuilding a legal immigration system that makes sense and benefits our country. President Trump has no higher responsibility than to defend our homeland and our people, and he will never waver in doing so. With that, I will open it up to questions, and we'll lead today with Isabel Brown, who is in our new media seats. She's a very popular face on television these days. She's built a great independent media podcast and platform with the Daily Wire, and I appreciate your being here, Isabel. Thank you,
Caroline. Appreciate it, and appreciate the briefing. Many Americans, in light of these recent events that you just mentioned, are starting to say that we are being invaded as a country, culturally and logistically, when it comes to immigration. And we know that immigration without assimilation is indeed invasion. So, given the recent
Again, guys, she is beautiful and very intelligent. Okay, you guys, please double tap the screen for me. Thank you.
Remarks from Vice President Vance on a college campus about dramatically reducing legal immigration to address some of this crisis. And President Trump's Truth Social post last week about individuals who may be non-compatible with Western civilization. Are there any conversations happening or plans being made behind the scenes for the administration to implement at least a temporary immigration moratorium, for example, in light of what the American people might be calling for?
So, Isabel, it's a great question. I think I spoke a little bit to the heart of your question in my opener there. I would add that the Trump administration has done more to limit migration, both illegal and legal, than any administration in history. And I'll just walk you through some of the actions that we have taken thus far. Number one, the Trump administration issued a travel ban for 19 countries, including Afghanistan, special immigrant visas, which is a legal pathway to get here, which we know many Afghans have utilized to come into the country, have now been paused since the tragic shooting last week. Refugee admissions were suspended for Afghans from this administration on day one, and refugee admissions into the country right now are essentially at zero, with the exception of Afrikaners fleeing persecution in South Africa. The State Department has also heightened their scrutiny and vetting of all visas and have revoked visas, as you know, for those who do not align with our country's national interests. The Secretary of State has the right to do that, and we've taken unprecedented action to do just that. We are also now pausing all asylum adjudications for additional vetting as well. And so additional actions I don't have to read out for you today, but I would just remark that the president has made tremendous progress on this front. And it's why it's so crucial that we not only secure the borders, which the president did in record time. We have.
Do I have any Trump supporters in my chat? Caroline Leavitt does an amazing job handling the press. She's only 27 years old.
Zero illegal aliens entering into the country month after month, but we also are taking a look at those who are already in the interior of our country and removing them if they are here illegally, and also taking a look at these visas. Again, having a visa in the United States is not a right, it is a privilege. And the Secretary of State, if you are deemed contrary to our country's foreign national interests, has the right to revoke that privilege. Thank you. Gabe.
Thank you, Caroline.
Hey, look, Diz, I see you.
Venezuela. The president said yesterday that Secretary Hegseth had denied that second strike, the reported second strike on an alleged drug vote on September 2nd, the secretary said to the president that didn't happen. But to clarify, I just wanted to clear this up. In his social media post, Secretary Hegseth didn't go into details about that strike. He just said U.S. operations in the area were lawful, and he said that the story and media reports were fabricated. So to be clear, does the administration deny that second strike happened, or did it happen and the administration denies that Secretary Hegseth gave the order?
The latter is true, Gabe, and I have a statement to read for you here. President Trump and Secretary Hegseth have made it clear that presidentially designated narco-terrorist groups are subject to lethal targeting in accordance with the laws of war. With respect to the strikes in question on September 2nd, Secretary Hegseth authorized Admiral Bradley to conduct these kinetic strikes. Admiral Bradley worked well within his authority and the law, directing the engagement to ensure the boat was destroyed and the threat to the United States of America was eliminated. And I would just add one more point to remind the American public why these lethal strikes are taking place. Because this administration has designated these narco-terrorists as foreign terrorist organizations. The president has a right to take them out if they are threatening the United States of America and if they are bringing illegal narcotics that are killing our citizens at a record rate, which is what they are doing. And under the previous administration, there was enough fentanyl trafficked into our country to kill every American man, woman, and child many times over. And so that's why you've seen a drastic difference in this administration's policy with respect to the last. And it's one of the many reasons the American public reelected this president and support this Secretary of War in conducting these strikes.
The Secretary of War just rolls right off of your tongue. I'm not sure how you guys are disagreeing. If you guys are disagreeing, can you say why you're disagreeing, or are you just disagreeing to disagree? Uncle Claude, right?
Admiral Bradley was the one who gave that order for a second strike.
And he was well within his authority to do so.
And a separate question, the president several days ago said it was his intention to pardon the former president of Honduras, who was a convicted drug trafficker. And yesterday on Air Force One, the president said that if someone sells drugs in that country, that doesn't mean you arrest the president and put him in jail for the rest of his life. how is that different than what the administration is accusing Venezuela's Nicolas Maduro of?
You're cherry picking the president's statement a little bit yesterday, as he also said yesterday the people of Honduras have highlighted to him how the former president Hernandez was set up. This was a clear Biden over prosecution. He was the president of this country. He was in the opposition party. He was opposed to the values of the previous administration, and they charged him because he was president of Honduras. There were some other egregious facts that came out during this trial, and I would encourage you to report on them. His court-appointed lawyer was only given 3 weeks to prepare for trial. He shared that his conviction was lawfare by the leftist party, who, quote, struck a deal with the Biden-Harris administration. Hernandez has highlighted there was virtually no independent evidence presented, and many of his conviction was based on testimony from many admitted criminals who hoped that cooperating would reduce their own penalties. So the president heard the concerns from many people, as he does, and he's, of course, within his constitutional authority to sign clemency for whomever he deems worthy of that. Jack.
Thank you, Caroline. Following from Gabe's question, you said that the follow-up strike was lawful. What law is it that allows no survivors?
The strike conducted on September 2nd was conducted in self-defense to protect Americans in vital United States interests. The strike was conducted in international waters and in accordance with the law of armed conflict.
And then on this pardon for the Honduran president, does it at all undercut the administration's messaging while you have these congressional Republicans defending the strikes on the narco-terrorists and then pardoning for a convicted drug trafficker? Does that make it more difficult for your members to defend your administration's policy?
I don't think so, Jackie. I think that President Trump has been quite clear in his defense of the United States homeland to stop these illegal narcotics from coming to our borders, whether that's by land or by sea. And he's also made it quite clear that he wants to correct the wrongs of the weaponized Justice Department under the previous administration. And Ouija, I'll call on you because I think we're wearing matching blazers today.
Nice.
Great minds.
Thank you, Caroline. So just to be clear,
She looks great.
clarify on Jackie and Gabe, did Admiral Bradley order that second strike because there were still survivors after the initial strike?
Again, as I read for you, Admiral Bradley worked well within his authority and the law. He directed the engagement to ensure the boat was destroyed and the threat of narco-terrorists to the United States was completely eliminated.
So was the initial order from Secretary Hegseth, everyone be killed, and did that come from President Trump?
I saw that quoted in a Washington Post story. I would reject that the Secretary of War ever said that. However, the president has made it quite clear that if narco-terrorists, again, are trafficking illegal drugs towards the United States, he has the authority to kill them. And that's what this administration is doing. Danny.
Follow up on the MRI, because President Trump yesterday said that he would release the results of his MRI. Is that happening right now?
It is happening right now. As part of, and this is a summary from the president's position, and we will release it right now. I think my team has it teed up for all of you. I'll read it for you, and then you'll get it physically as well. As part of President Trump's comprehensive executive physical, advanced imaging was performed because men in his age group benefit from a thorough evaluation of cardiovascular and abdominal health. The purpose of this imaging is preventative, to identify any issues early, confirm overall health, and ensure the president maintains long-term vitality and function.
Donald Trump is in excellent health, just so you guys know.
President Trump's cardiovascular imaging was perfectly normal. No evidence of arterial narrowing impairing blood flow or abnormalities in the heart or major vessels. The heart chambers are normal in size, the vessel walls appear smooth and healthy, and there are no signs of inflammation or clotting. Overall, his cardiovascular system shows excellent health. His abdominal imaging is also perfectly normal. All major organs appear very healthy and well perfused. Everything evaluated is functioning within normal limits with no acute or chronic concerns. In summary, this level of detailed assessment is standard for an executive physical at President Trump's age and confirms that he remains in excellent overall health. Again, we will provide that to you. I think that's quite a bit of detail, and in the effort of transparency, the president promised it last night, and we have delivered today. So there you go. Danny.
Just going back to Venezuela, can you confirm that President Trump is going to be hosting a meeting with his national security team in the Oval Office today on Venezuela? And what are they going to discuss? Are they hoping to reach a kind of final decision on that?
Out of the effort of transparency, I will confirm that the president will be meeting with his national security team on this subject and on many matters. He meets with his national security team quite often. He's the commander-in-chief. It's part of his responsibility to ensure that peace is ongoing throughout the world. I'm definitely not going to detail the specifics of a meeting between the president and his national security team that's taking place in the Oval Office, but I'm happy to confirm that meeting is taking place for you.
Can you tell us, is there still, what's the position on whether US troops on the ground is a possibility there? Is that, I know you've answered that before, but what's the current operative?
In Venezuela, I think my previous answer stands. There's many options at the president's disposal that are on the table, and I'll let him speak on those. Ed.
The U.S. announced a trade framework deal with the United Kingdom on pharmaceuticals, where they will pay 25% more, and the savings theoretically will go back to American consumers. What guarantees are in that savings will in fact go back to the American consumer and not be sucked up by the company?
I'm going to be honest with you, Ed. I'll get you the answer to that question after the briefing.
So the American Rescue Plan, funded a number of universal income.
Kush will get you that answer, right, Kush? My trade guy over here.
The American Rescue Plan funded a number of universal basic income programs. Now Cook County, Illinois is extending that program into 2026 with $7.5 million of taxpayer money. What does the White House think about that?
I'll also get you an answer on that after the briefing.
So for two.
Go ahead. Sure.
And then in the interest of transparency, does the White House support releasing the Department of Defense's video of those September 2nd strikes on those military votes? And also, separate topic on presidential pardon power. Why did the president commute the sentence of David Gentile recently? He's a private equity executive. He served 12 days out of a 7-year sentence. Prosecutors said he defrauded $1.6 billion with thousands of victims, including veterans, farmers, teachers. Why was he pardoned?
To your first question, that's definitely not a decision for me to make. I would defer you to the Department of War. It's also probably a decision for the president himself to make. As for your second question with respect to that pardon, he issued a commutation for Mr. Gentile, who's the former CEO and co-founder of GBP Capital Holdings. Unlike similar companies, GBP paid regular annualized distributions to its investors.
Let me read this comment from the chat. The victims and survivors that have named Trump as a predator. The women said that Donald Trump was the nicest person and he didn't do anything to them. Please don't put false news in my chat. Thank you.
In 2015, GBP disclosed to investors the possibility of using investor capital to pay some of these distributions rather than funding them from current operations. Even though this was disclosed to investors, the Biden Department of Justice claimed it was a Ponzi scheme. This claim was profoundly undercut by the fact that GBP had explicitly told investors what would happen. At trial, the government was unable to tie any supposedly fraudulent representations to Mr. Gentile. In short, again, this is another example that has been brought to the president's attention of a weaponization of justice from the previous administration, and therefore he signed this commutation.
So say that these people were defrauded.
I just read you a very detailed summary of why the commutation was made. Sure. In the middle with the red tie.
Thank you, Caroline.
Okay,
So
Andrew,
cute.
go ahead, and then
In
you.
wake of Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor
Go ahead.
Greene's early resignation, reports last week indicated that other House Republicans might consider doing the same. Does the president have any concerns in light of those reports about other House Republicans potentially leaving early, as well as the other announced retirements that we saw in the last couple of days?
Look, I think the president maintains very good relationships with the vast majority, maybe with the exception of one or two. I think many in this room know who I'm referring to. Very good relationships with members of Capitol Hill within the Republican Party. And the president clearly is the unequivocal leader of the Republican Party. I think it was a recent CNN poll that actually showed that more than 90% of Republicans continue to support President Trump as the leader. So he maintains very good relations, as does his entire team here at the White House. And of course, we have a very slim margin in the House, and the president wants that to continue. Andrew, go ahead. Sure.
First one, Venezuela strike. You said that second strike was in full accordance with the law of armed conflict, but the Navy's own manual of law of war says that specifically firing on survivors from a wrecked vessel is an example of a war crime that's forbidden under U.S. law and the law of armed conflict. So how was that second strike in following law of armed conflict and then second occupation?
Again, Andrew, I would reiterate to you the strike was conducted in international waters and in accordance with the law of armed conflict. And since somebody asked about Congress and it's sort of related to Venezuela, I also want to add that Secretary Hegseth spoke with members of Congress who may have expressed some concerns over the weekend. And there have also been 13 bipartisan briefings to Congress on the Venezuelan strikes. There have been a number of document reviews for members of Congress to review the classified DOJ Office of Legal Counsel opinion and other related documents. 29 senators and 92 representatives have reviewed those documents, which is about 2/3 of those are Democrat members, and they have been made available to all 100 senators, all 435 members of the House, and to general counsels of the relevant committees on a bipartisan basis for their review.
On immigration, during your talk where you said, and I quote, "Leaders also have a duty to preserve the integrity and character of our nation's national identity." Can you explain what you mean by our nation's national identity and integrity and character? And how would refugees, people coming from war-torn places who are seeking a safe haven in America, like many of our forebears in this room, not add to our nation's integrity and character of our national identity?
I'll tell you what does not add to our nation's character and integrity is refugees who come here under the alleged plight of asylum and fleeing persecution, and then come to the United States to abuse our system and rip off American taxpayers. And as I pointed out, the New York Times, to their credit, it was about 6 months too late, but they did write about how Somali immigrants in Minnesota have been ripping off American taxpayers. In fact, 86 people have been charged in a rampant and widespread fraud scheme spanning multiple programs in Minnesota.
I do want to point something out in the chat. I do realize that some of you are leftists, and I do realize, but when you look at the disrespectful comments, you don't see them coming from the Republican Party. You see them coming from people that don't agree, and then they resort to name calling and stuff like that. I'm just saying.
Of those 86, 78 of those people are Somali, 91% of them charged. So far, 59 of those people have been convicted for their roles in fraud plots that have stolen $1 billion from taxpayers. In one scheme, and this is egregious, a nonprofit and its affiliates with these Somali migrants claimed to have fed tens of thousands of American children during the pandemic. They were reimbursed for those meals by taxpayers. However, federal prosecutors found that almost all of those meals were never even delivered to hungry children. In fact, those organizations' leaders spent the money on houses, luxury cars, and real estate in Turkey and Kenya. Another scheme involved hundreds of organizations who were reimbursed for services that were supposed to help people at risk of homelessness. Once again, those services were never provided. All of this has happened under Democrat leadership in a Democrat-run state where these refugees, these migrants are coming to the United States. They are abusing our system. They are draining our resources that should be going to law-abiding, taxpayer-funded, tax-paying Americans, and this president is not going to put up with it anymore.
Do you guys feel bad for the immigrants that's being deported that entered this country illegally? What are your thoughts on that?
Rachel.
Thank you, Caroline. Just to follow back up on the Washington Post reporting, so much of the concern from Democrats and Republicans is focused on the survivors. Why won't the administration either confirm or deny or reveal whether or not there were survivors after that initial first strike? And what imminent threat would two survivors pose?
You gotta say no, close the borders. Do you know you can't enter any other country any way that you want? The laws are stiff, but some people want America to have open borders, which totally has devastated our economy.
Who were clinging presumably to the wreckage of that boat.
Again, as I said, I think you guys are sort of not listening fully to the statement I've provided. Admiral Bradley worked well within his authority and the law, directing the engagement to ensure the boat was totally destroyed and the threat to the narco-terrorists, to the United States, was eliminated. And for any further questions about his thinking, I would defer you to the Department of War. I obviously wasn't in the room for these.
Just to follow up, Caroline, just on the administration's policy when it comes to survivors, was there a change in policy after this strike on September 2nd. The Washington Post is reporting that these 2 survivors were killed after a second strike, but then in October, 2 people were rescued and returned to Colombia and Ecuador. So was there a decision that was made to handle survivors differently after these strikes?
Not to my knowledge, no.
Let me read this. Carol makes a good point. If you enter illegally, you jump ahead of people who are doing it legally, and that's wrong. I agree with you.
The president confirmed that he spoke to the Venezuelan leader. Are you trying to negotiate his departure? Is there an asylum deal under work?
President, as you know,
Sorry,
last night.
Was there a change in policy after this strike on September 2nd? The Washington Post is reporting that these 2 survivors were killed after a second strike, but then in October, 2 people were rescued and returned to Colombia and Ecuador. So was there a decision that was made to handle survivors differently after these strikes?
Not to my knowledge, no. Steve.
The president confirmed that he spoke to the Venezuelan leader. Are you trying to negotiate his departure? Is there an asylum deal under work?
President, as you know, last night on Air Force One, he said, I don't want to comment on that, but I did speak to him in the effort of transparency. So there you go. You got your confirmation. I'll let him speak further if he wishes to on the details of that conversation that took place.
Steve Witkoff is headed to
This president has been so transparent, and he doesn't even get credit for that. Okay, he's been so transparent, and he's only been in office. It hasn't been a year yet.
Moscow. How close are you to some sort of Ukraine agreement?
I think the administration feels very optimistic. Obviously, you've seen, Steve, that the president's entire team, including Special Envoy Witkoff and Secretary Rubio and the vice president and the president himself, Secretary Hegseth as well, have been working so hard on this effort, and they all really want to see this war come to an end. And so just yesterday, Sunday, I believe that was yesterday, they had very good talks with the Ukrainians in Florida. And now, of course, Special Envoy Witkoff is on his way to Russia. This is sort of the shuttle diplomacy that you've seen from this administration play out, where we speak equally with both sides. We've put points on paper. Those points have been very much refined. But as for the details, I will let the negotiators negotiate. But we do feel quite good. And we're hopeful that this war can finally come to an end. Stephen.
Thank you, Caroline. I've got a question about Ukraine and then a clarification about the immigration changes that are happening. On Ukraine, President Trump very briefly yesterday said that corruption issues there were not helpful to the peace process following the resignation on Friday of President Zelensky's top aide, Andriy Yermak. We were told from your podium in the prior administration that, quote, there is no indication that there's been any kind of widespread corruption involving U.S. resources in Ukraine. What is the Trump administration's view of corruption issues in the wake of Yermak's resignation, and how is that impacting peace talks?
Well, look, I think the president has made it quite clear, as he said last night, corruption is never helpful. And he does not want to see American tax dollars taken advantage of, which is why he has stopped the endless checks that were being written by the previous administration to fund this war. The United States is selling weapons to NATO that are being sent to Ukraine. That's a very different thing than the American people writing blank checks to a war effort very far away. It does.
Let me comment, Claude. Thanks to the Biden administration, the price of groceries have gone up, and now the price of groceries are going down. So I'm not sure about your comment about the ground beef.
Not degrade the administration's determination to see this war come to an end, but I think it exemplifies the president's desire to always put the American people and the American taxpayer first.
Right.
On immigration, you mentioned, or you emphasized that there would be a review of the Afghans who were resettled here under the previous administration.
Yes.
There's a lot of changes happening right now to asylum and to green card holders. What should the 2 million people with pending asylum claims, or the roughly 1 million people from the 18 other countries of concern, know about what's going on in the review? What's the status of all these other people?
They're essentially paused for review, and the Department of Homeland Security is taking this very seriously, because we are not going to allow soldiers like we saw in American streets last week to be gunned down at the hands of these foreign nationals who had the privilege of coming to the United States of America. And unfortunately, this is not the only example of a dangerous Afghan who was let in by Joe Biden, who went on to harm the American people. There was an Afghan national who was let into the country under the Biden administration through Operation Allies Welcome, who shot and wounded 2 Fairfax, Virginia police officers during a routine traffic stop. He was killed.
How come nobody's talking about that?
By return fire after declaring, quote, "I should have served with the explicitive Taliban." 2 Afghan nationals were given legal status by the Biden administration as well, who were arrested and prosecuted for plotting a terrorist attack in Oklahoma just before Election Day in 2024. We all remember that. They possessed hundreds of rounds of ammunition and had pledged their allegiance to ISIS. There was also an Afghan national who was on the terror watch list who was apprehended by Border Patrol in 2024, but then he was released into our country by the Biden administration. Again, let's just highlight the absurdity of that. Border Patrol apprehended a terrorist, and then the Biden administration, because of their lax policies, still allowed him to come into the United States of America. I think everyone in this room, whether you want to admit it or not, does not want that individual living alongside you in your American neighborhood. And that individual was later arrested again after being allowed to live in the U.S. at large for over a year. Another one, a criminal illegal alien from Afghanistan, was arrested by ICE in 2025, convicted of second-degree assault, was previously allowed to stay in the country by the Biden administration. I have several more examples here. I'm happy to provide them to anyone in this room. John.
Black Lives MAGA. Are you okay, Paul? Sassy, I have to disagree with you. Donald Trump did not put down MAGA folks when that's his slogan. I'm not sure where you got that from. Okay.
Thank you, Caroline. First of all, happy Thanksgiving to
Thank
you and your young
Happy
family. Hope you
Thanksgiving,
enjoyed it.
guys.
I have 2 questions unrelated. The first, back to Afghanistan. My son and I walked by the horrific shooting less than 1 hour before it happened. So for anybody that's here, this thing's real. You outlined all of these unvetted Afghans that were let in by Biden. We just had one the other day that was going to blow up a DHS building. Can you be specific on what the Trump administration is doing now to re-vet those that are here so that we don't get a repeat of what we had Wednesday night?
Sure. I can tell you 2 top-level things, and I would defer you to DHS for more of the specifics, as of course they are leading this effort. And I can assure you Secretary Noem is on the ball. I've spoken with her and her team, and they have an all-hands-on-deck effort to having resources go towards this.
Sassy, you're putting a lot of false facts in the chat. I think you need to source up. Yeah, I don't know where you're getting your statistics from. Some of you guys are just kind of making this up as you go.
Have paused all asylum adjudications, and then of course the special immigrant visas, which we know many Afghans utilize to come into the country under the Biden administration, have also now been paused. And I would just point out one more time that the Biden administration was responsible for the original sin that led to this tragic killing last week, the botched withdrawal from Afghanistan. He was responsible for Operation Allies Welcome, which is something that this White House and the people behind this podium in the last administration fully and wholeheartedly embraced. And they assured the American people there would be no risk or no harm to them. And as I just laid out for you in those many examples, that unfortunately and tragically has not turned out to be the truth. Just ask the families of these 2 brave National Guardsmen, one who is no longer with us and one who continues to fight for. So I know the president is wholeheartedly focused on this effort. And I think, unfortunately, these events do remind us why it's so important that the president's mass deportation operation continues.
How can you disagree with that? No Boxing, No Life said, if you don't vote for me, then you ain't black. That came from Joe. And I think that's a problem with the Democratic Party is they just took for granted that they'd get the black vote, and they did not run a good campaign. That's very problematic. And
with that,
thank you for pointing that out.
Sure.
Follow up. The White House today launched a new fake news portal, which I found interesting. What is your objective with that, ultimately? And are you going to name the news networks? And are you also going to name some of the correspondents, some which may be here today?
Yes, we are. I'm glad you noticed, much to the dismay of some of your colleagues in the room, John. And I think it goes to our original promise on day one to hold the media accountable, because unfortunately, and we deal with this all day, every day around here, there are so many fake stories that are unfortunately written.
Thank you for the gift, Juan. Thank you guys for the super chats. I see you guys. I appreciate you guys. For the cash apps, I saw you. Thank you. And thank you for the
have
gift.
inaccurate characterizations of meetings that took place, and it's all based on anonymous sourcing. And you know, the standard for journalism, unfortunately, has dropped to such a historic low in this country. And again, we deal with it every day, where you can have an anonymous source who has no idea what they're talking about, zero credibility, call up a reporter in Washington and say, hey, I heard this. And then the next thing you know, it's on the front page of the New York Times. It's really incomprehensible. We appreciate the journalists, some of those who are in this room who do reach out for comment, who try to get things right. And there are some that remain. But overwhelmingly, the fake news that we see pumped out of this building on a day-to-day basis, it's honestly overwhelming to keep up with it all, and to constantly have to defend against these fake news and these attacks.
That's
and
right.
I will point out one fake news story over the weekend before I let you all go, from the New York Times that took about 1/3 of the president's daily calendar and his daily schedule and said that he's doing less than he did in his first term, or he might not be fit for the job. That is unequivocally false. And it's deeply unfortunate that this story was written by the same outlet and the same reporter who wrote this. Biden is doing 100% fine after tripping while boarding Air Force One. Oh, same outlet, same reporter who wrote that President Trump is not fit for the job. Are you kidding me? You all see him almost every single day. He is the most accessible president in history. He is taking meetings around the clock. Another one. Biden declared, quote, healthy and vigorous after his first presidential physical. I don't see headlines like that too often about this president. Again, same reporter, same outlet who wrote falsely over the weekend that President Trump is not fit for the job. I can assure you he absolutely is. You all see that with your own eyes on a daily basis, and the president's physician has now given you all 3 detailed reports on the state of the president's health. So with that, I will leave you all.
Thank
We'll
you,
see you tomorrow.
Caroline.
Thank you.
She did an amazing job, you guys. Let me read some of y'all comments. Wait, I gotta find you. Oh my goodness. Where are you? I do that every time. Oh, go Caroline. Where are you guys? Oh, there you are. Mercy. So Donald Trump has accomplished a lot already, right, Stewie? Some of you guys agree, some of you guys disagree. I've seen some of your comments, and I really don't understand when you say that you don't like something or you hate something, but there's no reasoning behind it. MAGA, back in business. Do y'all have any? Haha, she does nothing, no trade agreements. Okay. All right, you guys. The comments are going a little fast for me. I'm MAGA and doing great. Trump has 6 bankruptcies. A lot of wealthy people have bankruptcies. What does that mean? Okay, America's in debt. Like people are in debt. That has nothing to do with how he's running the country. Okay. She makes your skin crawl, Alexander. Okay. So there's a lot that's going on. I don't disagree with the deportations, but I try not to give my opinions too heavily. I think that if you enter the country the right way, then you're more than welcome to stay. But any other way, it just harms our country. And that's what I'm looking at. What? Hey, Big Pun, how are you? Hey, you guys. What are your thoughts about what we watched? Well, I have you here for a minute. Gas prices are high here in Los Angeles. I'm in Palm Springs, Juan. They're high here, but they're going down. Trump's presidency has been a C+ at best. According to whom? We just heard Caroline. Donald Trump has accomplished more in his first year than a lot of presidents have their entire term. He's made the biggest political comeback in history, undeniable, and that's just what it is. Still lower than last year. ICE is racially profiling and also deporting. Try to get your comment. Without due process, that's unconstitutional. Also the legal way. Okay. I can't say that I agree or disagree with you, but I do think that some states are making it hard for ICE to do their job. What exactly has he achieved? He's achieved a lot. Trump has the top 2 worst presidential terms. He hasn't finished his term, Evan, so that right there lets me know you're not even qualified to say, well, I'm not going to say you're not qualified, but his term's not over. And the American people overwhelmingly voted for Donald Trump. He won the electoral vote and he won the popular vote. So a lot of people like to say publicly that they don't support Donald Trump, but obviously they do because the numbers don't lie. Trump has pardoned more. Okay, Donald Trump is fixing the nation and people are complaining. Balunko, right? How you doing, Brandon? How are you doing? So some of you are happy with Donald Trump and some of you are not. I saw people mention the Epstein files and things like that. We'll never fully know what was in the Epstein files. But what I can tell you is that the women has spoken up for Donald Trump and said that he was nothing but nice to them. He was there with his wife and he didn't commit any crimes there. Let them complain is all they have left. At this point, to totally go against what Donald Trump is trying to do, I'm just wondering what people's motives are, really. Are you trying to allow, and I'm just asking questions, illegal immigrants to come into this country so they can pad the Democratic vote? Or are you truly sympathizing with their plight? But again, I'm not here to give my opinion. I don't care if you're from the left. I don't care if you're from the right. All I do is ask questions, you guys. Everybody's welcome, okay? Give me a break. Trump is all over the files. Okay. I'm not here to judge you guys at all. All right. I'm just as concerned about this country as everybody else. So I'm Black and I'm proud and love Trump. It's Tatiana Ali all grown up. You guys are funny. Yeah, I am not going to really tell you guys. I like I said, I just ask questions. All right. I just like to have a conversation. I don't want anybody to feel offended. I just ask that everybody's respectful. That's all. That's all. Thank you guys for the gifts and for the chats, for the super chats. I appreciate you guys. Thank you so much. I'm praying for this country. I'm praying for all of you. I just want the best for America. I want the best for the people that are here and for our families. You agree with Juan? Am I high? Are you high? It's pretty weird how hard he was trying to block the files from coming out. I'm not going to disagree with that. I don't disagree with that. I don't have those answers. That's why Marjorie Taylor Greene, it's one of her biggest reasons for falling out with Donald Trump. That was pretty shocking to me. She said she's not going to run and she's done. It's like, really? She's not going to be a part of the House anymore? I really don't know. Marjorie Taylor Greene, Donald Trump said, has lost her way, and they have a nasty little fight going on. You said, whose streets? Streets, well, no. We have a scripture in the chat. All right, you guys. So, Dems don't care about no fouls under, they didn't care about it under Biden. And that's what I have to say. They could have released it under the Biden administration, especially when the Democrats had the control of Congress. They didn't release the fouls. And now all of a sudden it's let's release the fouls, let's release the fouls. Release the fouls. You're not going to get the whole thing. I think the women survivors would have spoken out against Donald Trump if there was something there as far as that's concerned. Hey, good morning, 40 Boom 3X. How have you been? MTG resigned. She did resign. Now, according to her, I watched the interview. I can't remember where this was, but she said that she didn't have the backing from Donald Trump. How could she have the backing from Donald Trump when a lot of the things she was saying was against Donald Trump? And then she would say, oh, I support the president, but you couldn't tell because Marjorie was saying all kinds of things that just went against his agenda. She made it really personal, talking about her own kids not being able to eat and stuff like that. And she's supposed to be worried about the country. And she's also a really wealthy woman. So maybe Donald Trump was right. Maybe she did lose her way. Both Trump and Clinton are on the Epstein files. Donald Trump does not say he wasn't there. But that doesn't mean that he's a Pedialyte or anything like that. Trump went against his own agenda. Now, you guys do have to remember, I mean, I feel like the Republican Party gets a bad name. There was a Republican Party before Donald Trump, and there will be a Republican Party after Donald Trump. I'm not here to tell you guys how to vote or what to think. I'm just here to have a conversation with you. You've been good? Nice, 40. But I missed you guys. I haven't been live for a minute because I've been busy with the holidays, but are all of you well? A lot of people I know who voted for him regret it now. Really? But what are their biggest reasons for regretting it? Wanting to fund illegal immigrants' health care at the expense of Americans who don't have health care? What is it that they disagree with? Don't get me wrong. I do believe that everyone should be taken care of if something happens to them. But we already have the emergency rooms. We already have hospitals that have, if you go to a public hospital, not a private one, where they will take care of you. But there is a process to entering the country, and that's important because of children that are harmed here, that are undocumented, that are unaccounted for. There has to be a way to enter any country. I'm trying to get to your comments that I see. Nobody regrets it. Michael says nobody regrets it. Okay. The problem with the Republican Party is that they don't align with MAGA and they just keep getting in the way of MAGA. Is that a problem? I just follow the Constitution. I just don't like how the Republican Party is demonized because a lot of us are very generous. We're very kind. We're just traditional. We don't believe in all the government involvement in our life. All right. And I was going to get into a subject, but that's another comment for another day about, blacks being Republican. We started off as Republican. It's not a conversation for today. I am as self-assured with private doctors. I wish I did it early. I also have a private doctor. I go to blacks are demonized. What does that mean? Blacks are demonized. I don't have any mods, so I'm not sure what you mean by that. And I can't get rid of your comment because I don't have any mods in here. Hey, Jerome, I see you. I don't give a damn who's in the files. I don't care what party. Okay. I'm Latino. I voted for him. Love what he's doing. Hey, Balunco. I don't feel bad voting for Trump. If he goes again, I will vote for Trump. I voted for all he is doing. Okay. Okay. Trump is the best president ever. Some of y'all making me really happy in the chat. I'm not going to lie. I still don't understand this. Blacks are demonized by Republicans. I'm going to let that rock. I'm not going to time you off for that. How so? We started off as Republican. I'm going to leave that alone. J.D. Vance. I think J.D. Vance would make an amazing choice. He did excellent in a vice presidential debate. J.D. Vance, I really think is somebody to look out for. If the Republicans do not win the 2028 the next election, I think we're going to be in trouble. I'm worried about the midterms. Can I still get into Republicans back then are Democrats now? Yeah, I agree with that. Blacks are demonized by their own. Why is this a white and black thing right now? Why are we making this a color thing right now? Did I miss something? Free R. Kelly and Diddy, mercy. Shane says both parties are a waste of time. I don't think there's any perfect party. I think that knowledge is key. Okay. I do feel that a lot of times when the right goes to say something, I think it's problematic to call Republicans demons and stuff like that because it's making it seem as if it's okay to harm somebody that happens to be on the right or a conservative thinker. That's not okay. Freedom of speech can't just be freedom of speech for Democrats. It has to be for all. Republicans passed the 1964 Civil Rights Act. Democrats voted no. That's true. That's a fact. Gulf of America. There's a lot. There's a lot. Maybe you should read it. I don't know what you're talking about. I stopped paying attention to politics. It's all a show. They polarize, create hope in candidates, and then they break that hope to sterilize population from the expectation of meaningful change. Wow, that's deep. The comments are getting crazy, Feronia. You know I don't hang out long. Okay, when I'm doing these kind of streams. They're crazy. They are crazy. I have Reddit time and you sound ignorant. Okay, you guys. But I don't see why we can't have conversations respectfully. Okay? These people are indoctrinated to hate Trump, just like they're hold on, I need to highlight that. I can't get to it fast enough. Just like they're indoctrinated to think a woman can be a man and a man can give birth. I heard this podcaster say the other day that men can have periods. And he has a platform close to, I want to say 700, 800,000. It's like, don't say, just no, men cannot have periods and they cannot give birth. Does that make me wrong? But I got to be careful because you got to be careful with what you say now. I'm not trying to get flagged. Dems can tolerate an alternative opinion. Michael, Irv, that's what I heard. And I had to type in that person's chat. Like, are you crazy? And I don't raise my kids to think that way. Not going to do it. I'm accepting of people. I love the LGBTQIA community, but I'm not going to say things like men can have periods. A lot of people I believe in the fake news. You can talk about the CNN and MS. Yeah, there's so many things that's going on. Yeah, I didn't even know that there was a boycott for Black Friday. People weren't going out. What exactly were they boycotting? Didn't stop anybody from going out shopping. I don't know. There's just a lot that's going on. A lot that's different. We had the No Kings protest, people protesting Donald Trump. But it's hard to take some of the protests seriously when people are dressed up as dinosaurs and all these. It's just hard. You go to a Republican, and I'm not preaching. Let me shut up, because I'm not preaching against Republicans or Democrats. I went to the No Kings protest because I wanted to learn. I'm always willing to have a conversation, and I learned a lot, And some of it, I was just like, really? Sebastian, I know. You guys double tap the screen. If you don't follow me already, feel free to subscribe. Feel free to I do talk about other stuff, but I'm heavily involved. I care about politics and what's going on in the country, and I'm a conservative thinker, but I don't care if you're a Democrat. I don't care if you are whatever you are. I just ask that you be respectful. That's all. That's all. Thank you, Robert. I'm ignorant. See, that's what I'm saying. I didn't call you guys out of your name. What makes me ignorant? If Trump was a king or a dictator, then you would not be allowed to protest him. See how exactly. And why can't you just do that? When I went to this protest, I'm gonna tell you guys the truth. It was peaceful, except when Republicans showed up. I definitely did not identify as anything. I think I even wore blue to be respectful, right? When the Republicans showed up, it got pretty rowdy, and the police had to let them know that the Republicans are allowed to show up as long as it's peaceful. It's supposed to stay peaceful. But the Democrats got rowdy, and they didn't want them there. But how can we understand each other if we don't have conversations? I got criticized for showing up at the No Kings protest by my own chat. I'm ignorant. Oh, I read that one already. I got criticized for showing up, and I was just there to blog. Oh, thank you, Michael. You like my name? Thank you. I appreciate you. Can you not protest for anything in the U.S. as long as it's peaceful? You're supposed to have a peaceful protest, and that is legal. Feronia, I don't mind the people calling me ignorant. I don't have any mods in my chat, so I just have to let it ride. You know what? When I'm called names ignorant and things like that, I let it ride. You know why? I don't see any Republicans being disrespectful to people in the chat. And I'm not here to preach about the Republican Party. But I do notice where the disrespect is coming from. If you guys can't make your points without the name calling, then you're not intelligent enough to make your point without calling people out their names. I haven't called you guys out your name. And I won't. I feel like my family's Democrat. Read my first comment, Robert. Let me try. There's a lot of comments that's going by. No tats. That comment, Robert? The great discussion. I got that one, Robert. Did I miss one of your comments? Robert. I'm sorry. You are conservative, therefore you're ignorant. Okay, but what makes me ignorant by being a conservative? Can you be more specific? Because that's not a reason. That's like me saying that you're ignorant because you're Democrat. Can you give me a reason? I live in California, right? There's a lot of reasons why I think the way that I think. So just by saying, I'm actually the only one in my family that is Republican. Trump is oh, mercy. Hey, Michael, thank you. I appreciate you so much. Democrats love to spread hate and divide Americans by race and gender. I have friends that are Democrat. A lot of my friends, I used to be a person where I really didn't do bipartisan relationships because I felt that with my views, it was hard to have those conversations. But that's when I was younger. As I got more involved, I'm friends with anyone, okay? I care more about how you treat me. If you think differently than me, I like it if you could say why. I'm not going to change my political affiliation because of my beliefs, but it doesn't mean I can't respect you. Trump is the best president in modern history. No King's protest was paid for and pushed by Walmart family. I didn't know. Really? Trump is destroying the oligarchy. I don't know anything about that. Let me use my phone. No, she is not off, Ronya. Let me use my phone. I can get to your comments faster that way. You look like, come on. Oh, mercy. Of course. The Democrats I know are all old school. So they kind of align with my beliefs, but I'm MAGA all day. Yeah, I don't identify as MAGA, but I do identify as a conservative. They don't want you to understand. They just want you to follow orders, understanding. Okay, you guys. Oh, Feronia, I can't even see what the person is saying. But don't worry. I'm not worried about it. Tammy, what makes you conservative? How do you identify, Kev Dog? I believe in less government involvement in our families, the right to bear arms. I definitely want our borders protected. There's quite a few reasons. Democrats should mind their own business and stay out of everyone else's business. Stop trying to control everything and everyone. You're gonna know less government. Yeah, so if you don't know what I mean by that, then that tells me how you identify right there. Are you joking? No, I'm not joking. No. So again, you guys, regardless of how Trump increased government, Trump didn't increase government the way that I'm speaking of. He's using his resources to protect the borders, to ensure safety. There's some states, some cities like Chicago and other places in the Midwest where crime was out of control. And now those crime rates are a lot lower. Crime is a lot lower in Washington, D.C. These are stats that you can't deny. And if he needed to do that with resources, I think the people there thank him. And if a mayor does not want him there, I have to ask myself why. So if he needs resources for that, then so be it. Houston and Chicago are ugly. Sound, there's a lot that's going on. He increased the power of the central government. He did what he had to do, especially when they're trying to stop ICE from doing their jobs. I'm not saying that everybody should be deported, but if you entered this country the wrong way. Now, some people are saying, well, what about separating families? But when you go to jail, let's say that you go out there and you get a DUI and you get arrested, you're going to go to jail and you're going to be separated from your family. So when you commit crimes, you'll be separated from your families. Does not mean that my heart does not go out to people, but that's what happens. Anything else? Trump is for America first. Sis, see, this tells us you're very uneducated. Sherry, uneducated how? Which part didn't you agree with? That makes it, because I haven't spoken about my education. So when you say that I'm uneducated, that really shows that you're uneducated because you're judging somebody without any facts. So that tells me that you're willing to just throw facts out there, Sherry, without any knowledge behind it. So your statement is void. Police in every home, Trump #1. I'm actually very educated. I also went to the military. I served our country, but you never bothered to ask. You just assumed that I was uneducated, and I have to ask you why. Why? So who should be deported? I'm not getting into that. What's your ethnicity? Yes, she's very uneducated. I was in the Navy. I got my ESPOS pin within the first year of being on my ship. If you've been in the military, you know what I mean by that. That's the highest enlisted pin. I served my country. I went to college, and I've done a lot of things. I didn't say that I was perfect. Where are you? I'm in Palm Springs, California. Why did Trump pardon wealthy tax evaders? His focus is helping the wealthy. Why do I speak so fast? I just do. I try to slow it down. I do. And it's almost 2 a.m. So you want to ban that's a lot. Yeah. No submarine qualification pin is higher. Not than the ESWAS pin. Not for the enlisted pin. That's the highest pin you can get in the Navy as an enlisted. Stop painting immigrants in a bad light. America should appreciate, okay, I'll take this. America should appreciate their contributions. Less than 50% Americans have a college degree. Thank you, Bianca. I appreciate you. Oh, I'm saying your name wrong. Bianici? Thank you. I'm not painting them in a bad light. I love immigrants. I can't speak on anybody's background. But what I can say is there is a right way to enter the country. That's what I spoke on. You did not hear me put down immigrants. You did not hear me put down refugees, okay, or people seeking asylum. You did not hear me say that. I specifically said that people that enter the country the wrong way has committed a crime. I didn't make that up. So that's not speaking down on anybody. Almost 5, guys. It's early. Wealthy has been attacked for decades. Trump is letting them know. Hang on, I missed that. They will be treated equally. There's no reason for the wealthy to be attacked. We're not taking anything from you. Some people do things to earn a higher income. Does that make them bad people? Doctors and lawyers or other people are going to earn higher wages. We learned that in school, that if you take certain courses, whatever, you're going to earn a higher wage. I do feel that everybody should have a livable wage and be able to eat in this country. But I'm darn sure not going to look at wealthy people any kind of way. They're not taking anything from me. Can you play something on the piano? Bimbo, I'm going to have to. Legal immigration is only acceptable immigration. That's right. Tammy saying somebody overstayed their what, Tammy? Okay. I'm sorry. So you're against abortion like most conservatives? I'm pro-life. But I don't judge, you guys. I don't judge. I'm pro-life. Do I expect everybody else to be? No. But I'm for the babies. And I am. I would agree with you if he was getting people who are making crimes, but why go against? Okay. Okay. Less and less Americans were getting accepted in colleges because it was rigged against them. College is a whole different subject. And you can be successful without going to college. It just depends on what you want to do in life, right? It's a prerequisite for your career. If you want to be a doctor, you got to go to college. You want to be a lawyer, you got to go to college. Although in California, you don't have to go to law school to be a lawyer here. It's a few states that's like that. When are you running for mayor? Oh, Kula, you're not conservative. You picking and choosing what you like about the party. Please don't tell me what I am and what I'm not. You're just not meeting me. So if you don't think that I'm conservative, that's just your wrong opinion. Thank you, Akula. Thank you. Red. Go red. I'm professional. Herb, that's all good. I don't see, that's the thing with me. I don't judge you guys. I don't judge you on your backgrounds. I don't care if you're wealthy. I don't care if you're poor. I don't care. I don't care. But don't change my belief. You know, the same way I'm not trying to change a Democrat into a Republican, please don't try to tell me what I believe and what I do. I'll share with you why I believe what I believe if you want to know. But I am praying for our country. I'm praying. I don't believe in all these genders they're trying to say that we have, with 63, 57 genders. No. Okay. I don't believe in all that stuff. You're not going to make me believe in all that stuff. But identify how. Are you from New York? I'm from Palm Springs. All of your MAGA talking points are old and debunked. Okay, Dove. Okay, Kev Dog. You look like an Aries. I am an Aries. Like you ran 400 hurdles. I'm an Aries. California, you don't have to go to law school. You can do an intern here. You can work under a lawyer. I can't remember the amount of years. I actually worked for an attorney. And that's when I found out that I could work for them for a number of years, and I could take the bar like that. But you don't have to go to law school in California. But you do have to do an enormous amount of training. Mm-hmm. Really? You're an Aries too? Let's go. I believe, yeah, you guys, there's so many things. There's so many. I told you guys about that podcaster that had that very large platform that said, when a woman said that they have periods, and he goes, well, men have periods too. I'm not buying any of that. And I think that it makes us look like a joke. Men don't have periods. It's biological. No, if they have, enough said. Were you and LN? Akula, do we know each other? No, men don't have periods. But can you believe the backlash? Now, I put it in the chat and I got so much backlash for my comment. But why? I'm not going to say something is, I'm not going to say that something is a certain way just to make people happy. I'm just not going to do it. April 15th. Nice. Nice. Oh, our birthdays are coming up. My birthday's in March. Men also can't get pregnant. Do you hear people saying now that men can't get pregnant? Men cannot get pregnant. Men don't have periods. Why should I be canceled for saying that? We have Aries in the house. Hey, Rio, how are you doing? December 22nd, your birthday's coming up. Happy early birthday. We get the man flu. It's worse than periods. That's right. Oh. Hey, Stewie. They say early April babies are where? Damage Inc. Is that what they say? March is more stable, Aries. Yeah, I'm from March. MAGA's in for a very rude awakening. I don't know, Sassy, I'm not MAGA, so if they are, then they are. The entire gender narrative is mostly a distraction. It's to get people to argue over basic things and facts. Oh, let me see. Eat your groceries exactly. That's nothing that we even need to debate. Hi, Moham. Hey to everyone. I know I missed a lot of your comments, so I'm just grabbing a few of them. Can't a post-op trans have a period? A man can't have periods. Thank you, Moham. I appreciate you. That's really sweet of you. Men can't have periods. I talked to you before on TikTok. I'm about to be over there in a few minutes, so we can go back to our regular streams. Is my thyroid okay? Why are you asking me about my thyroid, feet boo? Why are you asking me about my thyroid? Y'all crack me up. See, y'all, hey, be real, JB. Think I'm gonna get upset? I'm not gonna get upset with you. I don't know why you're asking me about my thyroid. Leftists are the authoritarians, control everything what you say. Their leftist system can't function otherwise. Oh, Michael. Not to get off the topic. Thank you, Jeffrey Walker. Thank you. I hope that you hit the subscribe button. You are MAGA. Smile when Trump's name is mentioned. You've been sniffing. See, Cub Dog, that's not even, what does that even mean? What does that mean? 300 pounds? I'm 300 pounds? Mercy. Eat your groceries. God bless you. Can a duck move because it wears out print? No, men who can't convert can't have a period. Come through, Akula. Come through. Oh, shoot. Did I highlight that? Oh, no. Chill, fool. A trans man is still a woman and can get pregnant. A trans man is still a woman. You drank the MAGA Kool-Aid. Kev Dog, what's wrong with you? How was your day, B-Roll JB? My day was okay. It's 2 o'clock in the morning here. So, highlight what? Highlight what? Sorry, the comments go too fast if I missed your comments. Be nice. She hasn't been aggressive and she's open to listen. I am very open to listen. That's why I started out my chat asking who was for Trump, who's, you know, so that way I kind of had more of an idea of who I was speaking with, because I'm not trying to offend you guys. Now, some things I'm not going to go with. I'm not going to joke around and say that men, you know, can have periods and get pregnant. I'm not going to entertain you like that. But I'm willing to listen to facts and to other things, just not that. Am I single? Mercy. I'm from Palm Springs, California. I'm for Trump to leave the office. Okay, Akula, that's fine. Some people aren't, they don't like what's going on. And that's why everybody has the right to vote. And I have to stand by that. Single. I have a whole story behind me of being single and all those things. Good morning, Anthony. Good morning. You're a bird. I can't believe I wasted my effort reading that. You think Trump is a good leader for our country? I'm more interested in what you think. No sanity in the office. Akula. Oh, I have a family that's Democrat. So I hear from the other side a lot. It's kind of funny when I'm doing a live stream in Wisconsin because my family just jumps in and like, they're usually shy, but when I'm doing a stream, I remember I was there and I was talking about Capitol Hill. I'm not going to talk about it tonight. And Mercy, can you imagine that conversation? What did you say? Biden took 18 months to destroy the great economy President Trump built the first time. Look at you. Let me see what some of you. So for those that disagree with me, it would be nice to know why, or if you agree with some of the things that the Republican Party is doing, it's nice to know why. I'm not the representative of the Republican Party, but definitely I'm interested in your thoughts. Besides, he's evil, he's this, he's that. It's more, I think that it does more to say what you don't like. Why don't you feel that illegal immigrants should be deported back to their countries? I'll tell you one argument. I'll give you one. Some people say you're separating families. I just don't feel that that's enough. Now, if you're here seeking asylum because you're in danger, that's different. You're entitled to due process. But if you enter here, look at what happened. I mean, we had the two that were attacked. Where are they from? Was it the National Guard? Harmed for no reason. I mean, there has to be some accountability and consequences for people to enter the country illegally, especially if they're committing crimes. And that's just how it is. Illegal is illegal. Families are separated all the time. Everyone is entitled due process. If you don't, we all can be taken statistically. Kev Dog, because I don't need to say my opinion on Donald Trump. I don't like that he is not for the good of the collective group. Rather, he's for the 1% base. Okula, thank you. I've heard that. Okay, I'm gonna think on that one. But I do appreciate you sharing your thoughts on that. Except there never was a problem with deporting illegals, is that they're deporting citizens and straight up not giving due process. Are they not giving due process? All Muslims need to get moved, right? They're gonna speak on Muslims. Not all Muslims are bad, so I can't generalize anybody. Beautiful black woman, Jalen, thank you. Are you just gonna ignore the fact that he's a massive liar? What politician is 100% honest? They're not deleting citizens, right? Why is his wife not deported? She is legal here. Big or small, and you look good. Jerome, what does that mean? I'm having trouble keeping up with your comments. I'm going to say only one thing. Okay, Feronia, friend, I see immigrant problems in Europe, but our laws also forbid immigrants to work, so they become criminals. It's a situation controlled by every country themselves. That's a good point, Feronia. And people do sometimes, and I have to say, I do know that people commit crimes because they're hungry and they're desperate. So it's not such a black and white issue. It would be nice if people had a chance to become legal, right? But I do feel if you commit a crime where you harm someone else, there are no passes for that. There are no excuses for that. Because you can't infringe on somebody else's rights. But Feronia, I understand that. And Feronia, you make a good point. Evan, what'd you say? First, he's not just deporting illegal immigrants. Second, he's not giving due process. Third, they're being deported to places they've never been or haven't been since they were 7 or younger. Yeah, my heart goes out to them, Evan, for that. Charlie, rest in peace. Agreed, Upstate Plumbing. I'm sorry that the comments, there's too many comments for me to grab. Pull the thread on her citizenship. Was she here illegally? Didn't she overstay her visa? I question her legal status. Okula, my hair looks like because my hair is natural. You want to put down my hair? That says more about you than it does about me. U.S. national debt is at an all-time high, right, Portia? Let me use my phone. I can control the comments a little bit better. Charlie was a clown. Ooh, may he rest in peace. Akula, thank you. U.S. debt goals. Democrats always forget Alien Gonzalez. They remove. Most billionaires are liberals. I'll say a lot of people from the 1% are not Republican. They could be liberal, but since I don't have those stats on hand, I'm not going to even try. Why Warrior only got insults left? I'm not worried about the insults. Name one citizen who's been deported. Exactly, Brandon. Can you name the 3 branches of government? I absolutely can. The question is, can you? Can you? I'm not your puppet, Sherry. Are you okay? I was going to ask the next podcast, can you have some stats to help the combo? Akula, sure. Sure. What do you want me to grab stats on? My brain is tired right now, but what do you want me to and if you guys jump under any of my videos, you can leave your questions there and I will answer them on my next stream. Did any of you Democrats say a thing when Democrats added $8 billion to the debt under Obama or $9 trillion under Biden? Democrats didn't care. Bandu, what? Hi, Kev Dog. How are you? You gotta understand how fast the comments go on the screen. Immigration is a privilege. Candyman, come through. Not a right, and your visa can be revoked for a traffic ticket. Ooh. They deported an old man who lost his documents and went to the court to get new ones. They snatched him up. Oh, I see you guys. Oh, shoot. Sherry, I can if I chose to, but I don't know why you're trying to come in here like in a disrespectful way. I haven't disrespected you. Aren't you the same when they called me uneducated? So now you want to come out with any basic elementary type question, things that we learned in the 6th grade? Take care, beautiful, and keep you hyperactive. Thyroid in check. I want you healthy, okay? Feet poop, thank you. Sherry's just wanting some attention right now. That's all. She's a little lonely. Yeah. Oh, that's your question? Yes, I could play the piano. It would be a little awkward if I played the piano right now, but I can play the piano. Trump has paid off $600 billion of our debt. That went fast. With tariffs so far, tariffs is how the U.S. the U.S. needs to run the government. All right, you guys. Bye, Feronia. I appreciate you guys. Thank you guys for hanging out with me. I need to lay it down and get some rest. I will try my best to come back tomorrow so we can talk about more stuff that's happening in the White House. And if there's something that I missed, just throw it under one of my videos. I'll see your comments, okay? The national debt hasn't gone down. Come on. All right, you guys. Have a good rest of your night, and I will see y'all later. Be safe, and thank y'all for hanging out with me. Okay. Bye-bye. Sherry, it would be better for you to ask my educational background than asking me some question. And the only reason I'm not answering is because of the type of question that you're asking me. And you started off calling me uneducated. Now, God bless you and have a great rest of your day. Bye, you guys. Good night, Jerome. Thank you. I appreciate you. Good night, Akula. Or morning. Sorry. I'll be back later, you guys. Be safe. Good night, Michael. Bye, Patrick.